Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into the world of wealth and politics, counting down the 7 richest US presidential candidates in history. From self-made millionaires to heirs of vast fortunes, these candidates brought significant financial clout to their campaigns. We'll explore how their wealth influenced their political careers and the role it played in their bids for the presidency. Get ready for some surprising names and staggering net worths. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more intriguing insights into the intersections of money and power. Let's get started. Number 7. George Washington's $525 million fortune makes him the second wealthiest president in American history. Adjusted for inflation, the first president's fortune would today stand at $525 million, Insider reported in 2017. This made him the wealthiest person to win the presidency until Trump's 2016 victory. Washington's fortune was bound to his vast estates in Mount Vernon, Virginia, which stretched across 8,000 acres. He also owned 300 slaves. In the early days of the presidency, only white, male property owners were allowed to vote. This meant that many of the first presidents were wealthy landowners too. Number 6. Vice President and GOP presidential candidate Nelson Rockefeller had a $1 billion fortune, mostly inherited from his grandfather. Nelson A. Rockefeller was the grandson of one of the richest men in the world, oil magnate John A. Rockefeller. When he became vice president to Gerald Ford in 1974, estimates put his part of the inherited family fortune at $1.3 billion. Before becoming vice president, he made 3 unsuccessful runs for the presidency as a Republican candidate, in 1960, 1964, and 1968. Number 5. President John F. Kennedy was born into one ultra-wealthy family and married into another, giving him a net worth of $1 billion. John F. Kennedy was born into enormous wealth, and married oil heiress Jacqueline Bouvier in 1953. His career was bankrolled by his father, Joe Kennedy, one of the richest men in America, who had made his fortune in banking, stock trading, and bootlegging. When elected to the White House, JFK gave away his $100,000 annual salary to charity, Business Insider previously reported. Had he not been assassinated in 1963, Kennedy stood to inherit a significant portion of his family's fortune, calculated at about $1 billion. Although that figure would have made him richer than Washington, Insider still considers Washington the second richest serving president, because Kennedy never actually had that wealth in office. Number 4. Former hedge fund manager Tom Steyer used his $1.6 billion fortune to fund his bid for the 2020 Democratic nomination. Tom Steyer was one of the latest entrants to the 2020 presidential race, before suspending his candidacy in February that year. He spent millions of his own fortune on environmental causes and paid for ads on primetime TV calling for President Trump to be impeached. Steyer ran hedge fund Farallon Capital for 26 years, but stepped aside from the position in 2012 to focus on environmental and political causes. Forbes estimates Steyer's net worth to be $1.6 billion. Number 3. With a current net worth of $3.2 billion, Donald Trump is the richest president in America's history. Donald Trump was one of the richest presidents in history. And having recently announced his plans for a political comeback with a 2024 presidential bid, he is again one of the richest candidates on record. Trump's net worth, which he often exaggerates, has been notoriously hard to pin down. As of September 2022, Forbes estimated it at $3.2 billion. Trump rakes in millions of dollars of revenue from his various properties, including New York real estate and his golf and country clubs around the world, Insider reported. As he gears up his 2024 campaign, his businesses and finances are coming under scrutiny as never before. The New York Attorney General is investigating his business, and he recently lost a Supreme Court battle to prevent Congress accessing his financial statements. Number 2. Two-time third-party candidate Ross Perot had a $4.1 billion fortune. Ross Perot was a plain-speaking Texan, who in 1992 became the most popular third-party candidate ever to run for the presidency when he took on George H.W. Bush. He ran again in 1996 and lost to Bill Clinton. At the time, he was the richest man ever to run for president, with his self-made fortune estimated at $3.5 billion. Perot was one of the first tech billionaires, selling his company Electronic Data Systems to General Motors for $2.4 billion in 1984 and investing a fortune in municipal bonds. At the time of his death in July 2019, Forbes estimated his fortune at $4.1 billion. Number 1. With a net worth of $55.9 billion, 2020 candidate Michael Bloomberg is more than 17 times richer than Trump. Bloomberg, a businessman, former mayor of New York City, and multi-billionaire, ran an unsuccessful campaign for the 2020 Democratic nomination. He made his fortune from Bloomberg LP, the media company he co-founded that now brings in $10 billion in annual revenue. Bloomberg largely self-financed his 2020 campaign before dropping out following disappointing primary results. Before suspending his presidential bid, Bloomberg spent roughly $250 million on advertising in the Super Tuesday states alone.